You know, Widows being shown at this year's TIFF reminds me of another film at the festival in 2014, The Equalizer. Both the director of The Equalizer, Antoine Fuqua, and the director of Widows, Steve McQueen, were very well-respected directors who decided to make an action thriller and bring it to the festival. Both films are also based off TV shows. And if you remember my review of The Equalizer, you remember I wasn't a fan. What I'm trying to say is apparently history is repeating itself, and it's important to remember last time what the Fuqua happened. I know I've talked about the video game movie curse before, but do you think the same has to apply to movies adapted from television shows? Let's just list some of the winners we've had in this specific cinematic subcategory, shall we? Wild Wild West, The Dukes of Hazzard, Lost in Space, The A-Team, The Mod Squad, The Avengers. The British one with the guy in the bowler, not the superhero thing. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule, but very rarely, and let's be honest, it has a lot to do with the fact that a show or a series can develop slowly. It's a slow burn in terms of how we get to know the character and plot. That's not to insinuate that a film can't do that. It's just typically a series will have about 16 hours to do so, and a film only has about 2. Take Widows, for instance. Based off the early 80s British television show of the same name, it follows the story of 4 women who lose their husbands in a heist gone wrong, and for various motivations, they themselves have to step up and commit one last grand heist. Fantastic concept, and arguably one that could be very well done in both TV and film. And yet I found that the cinematic adaptation of Widows severely lacked balance. Now, I choose that word very carefully, balance, not pace, because it would be very simple to call the film slow, when really it's the first and second act of the film are just too long. Which kills me to say this, that it's a writing problem. Now, Widows was co-written by director Steve McQueen and Gone Girl's Gillian Flynn. And this is where it kills me, because Flynn only 4 years ago wrote a near perfect script in terms of balance, pace, and intrigue. So what went wrong? I think it's really a factor of just having so much to put into this movie. It's not just the main plot of the heist itself. There's so many subplots and characters and backstories. There's a murderous gangster stalking these 4 women. There's a father-son feud. There's a political race, not to mention the personal backstories of all 4 of these pretty much main characters. That's a lot, to put it mildly. So could McQueen and Flynn have found better balance? Of course. Could they have cut back on some of these stories? Yup. Would it have affected the film? Also, of course, but it could be either a positive or a negative effect. These filmmakers chose to make this a character-driven piece, which of course, 9 times out of 10 is never a bad thing. That's great writing. But with so many characters, and so many backstories, and so many subplots, you leave little room for anything else. I do want to discuss what I mean by that, but first, I want to talk about this cast, because holy crap, if Steve McQueen directing wasn't enough, or Gillian Flynn writing wasn't enough, how about this cast? I mean, you could just say Davis and Neeson, and I'm already there. Let me just throw a few more names out there at you. Farrell, Kaluuya, Rodriguez, Debicki, Duvall, Bernthal. These are some of the most recognizable names in film and television of recent and past memory, and yet in this film they had so little room to do anything of substance. And you might be thinking, well, that's just the definition of an ensemble piece, but no. When nobody gets a chance to shine, then the actor really just becomes about a name, not about the talent. The talent of that actor doesn't even come into play. Although in fairness, a couple of them definitely came to play. Viola Davis is an absolute force in this film, and with those toned guns she's sporting, she can force this movie wherever she wants. She's captivating from beginning to end, but like I said before, she's the only one who really gets a chance to shine. She's the only character who gets any kind of development, depth, or range, and with such a stellar cast, it would have been nice to throw somebody else a tiny bone. And even when some of these other actors or these other characters get any kind of screen time, they're just one-dimensional or tropes. Jon Bernthal plays a lowly, abusive husband. Robert Duvall plays a racist, old rich guy just fighting to hold on to his influence. Even Daniel Kaluuya, who gave a tremendous performance, a breakout performance in Get Out, is reduced to a crazy-eyed gang leader. Even the Neeson, who's supposed to be this sneaky, brilliant criminal mastermind, just pops up in a scene like Batman. Oh, which kind of makes sense, because he did train Batman. So to flog a dead horse, this cast was wasted, as were a lot of opportunities. There was a supposed major twist in the middle of this film, which actually, in my opinion, went nowhere. It only led to a rather predictable Hollywood ending, which just felt like another trope. A lot of these failed opportunities fall on McQueen. Tonally especially, I found Widows to be a little confusing, and not personally for me. I think I had a grasp on things, but the TIFF audience that I was with actually laughed at some really inappropriate, poignant, dark, dramatic moments. Now, I might be wrong about the tone, but considering the rest of the film, I don't think so. And tonally, the conveyance of emotion and the conveyance of tone, of course, falls on the director. If I haven't made myself clear, let's just use those two little words again. Missed opportunity. I thought the cast deserved better. I know Flynn can write better. I know McQueen can direct better. And yes, there were some great dramatic moments. And yes, there's a solid performance by Viola Davis. But ultimately, there were also a lot of plot holes, which just unraveled the whole thing and led to a very safe, predictable action thriller. That makes it a burn it. Poll question, what's your favorite ensemble cast? As always, leave your answers in the comment section below. Also be sure to check out my full written review on menvsmovies.com and the TIFF playlist just after this, where you can see all of my TIFF 2018 coverage. But until next time, school's out. Hey Real students, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to Real School, click that round Real School logo right beside me. Also click that damn notification bell so you're aware of all of Real School's new content. You can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link in the description below or the button down there, and you can become part of my Patreon team.
All I need is a crew to pull it off.
Why should we trust you anyway?
Because I'm the only one standing between you and a bullet.